Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Joe, and it's time for another Hyllion video. And in this video, we're going to talk about the dreaded S word. And this came about when I was looking through the SEC Form 4 forms. There's an interesting swap from the Chief Technology Officer reporting to the CEO, with the Chief Technology Officer reporting to the CSO, and the CSO stands for Chief Strategy Officer. Her name is Sherry. I'll just go over the background on her profile, and she wrote 2 blog posts on Medium, one of which, because I went through the blog post and I was highlighting it for useful information, and on one of the articles I actually had to highlight it in a different color because something in it stood out to me. With the background and looking at Sherry here, this is a screen capture from her Medium blog post profile. And one thing we know for certain is that she worked at Meritor. And the second thing is she worked for this strange LLC company after that. This differs from what's on Hyllion's website, because they say that she worked for TE Connectivity, and the only thing I could find is what's posted on Hyllion's website, and I can't find any other pieces of information relating to it. But I can find multiple pieces of information that point at this strange LLC that she was a part of. So let's take a look at her background at Meritor. She started there in the middle of 2017. She was the Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer at Meritor. About 9 months later, she graduated and assumed additional responsibility of the engineering team. Ironically, when she was brought on to Hyllion, the same pattern is mimicked, is the Chief Technology Officer reports to her, and she's also the CSO of Hyllion. Going back to Meritor, at the end of October 2019, there's an announcement of a Blue Horizon brand, and that's where they introduce 2 electric, actually there are 3 of them, electric powertrains, but there's no mention of Sherry. About 6 months later, in February of 2020, there is a 2019 sustainability report featuring the Blue Horizon brand, and Sherry is displayed in multiple places in the sustainability report. The main powertrain featured on the report, which I'll have to break away from this PowerPoint to show you, is the 14xe powertrain. But there are 2 other types of powertrains as well, and these seem to be geared towards the all-electric mode or some sort of hybrid in between. This is the sustainability report. On the first page, we see the Meritor's first electric axle 14xe, and you'll see Sherry with the executive team on the right hand side. Moreover, there's a whole page dedicated to Meritor's Blue Horizon initiative, as well as a picture of Sherry on the right hand side. And she's quoted to saying, "Revolutionary technology advancements like the e-axle portfolio have the potential to transform our industry by meeting the rising global demand for clean electric power drivetrains with a high efficiency solution. Returning back to the slideshow, in 2019, here's a picture of the executive team. Sherry is pictured in the lower left, but something happens in 2020 where she's no longer there. And these are actually Meritor's investor reports that are published towards the third quarter of the year. So something happened in 2020, the pandemic, which caused a shift in people, and she's no longer on the executive team. Ironically, we see Jeffrey A. Craig in the upper left-hand corner of the executive team, and he appears on Hyllion's board of directors as the chairman. This is the second occurrence of the S word. In February 2022, Cummins, a bigger fish, acquires Meritor. And here's where the S word comes into play: strategic rationale. And this is what's made on the announcement. Meritor is an industry leader in axle and brake technology. The integration of Meritor's people, technology, and capabilities will position Cummins as one of the few companies able to provide integrated powertrain solutions across combustion and electric power applications. This is the right time to pursue this combination as demand for decarbonized solution accelerates. Cummins believes e-axles will be a critical integration point within hybrid and electric drivetrains. Notice that there's two components, hybrid being one and electric being the second one. And Meritor fulfills that second requirement of electric drivetrains. By accelerating Meritor's investment in electrification and integrating development with its new power business, Cummins expects to deliver market-leading solutions to global customers. In the quote from Sherry's statement in the 2019 sustainability report, she also mentions the global thing, which is big, huge. It's also reiterated in the strategic rationale to global customers. Fast forward to March of 2023. Cummins announces a new business unit, Accelera, which is just specifically geared towards new innovation. And showcased in here is the 12XE e-axle, which was prominently displayed in Meritor's 2019 sustainability report. It's one of the available options. And it shows up in this expo in 2023. And lo and behold, there's the axle. It's not in a truck, it's just sitting there, but something is better than nothing. Now, the next question is, well, where did Sherry go after 2022? Well, where did she go after 2020? Hyllion says that she worked at TE Connectivity, but on this Medium blog, it says she worked at Experio LLC. Looking at Michigan records for companies, you see that it was registered on June 5th, 2020. The resident agent name is Sherry. Someone named Peggy organized it. I don't know who Peggy is. I don't care. In 2021 and 2022, it was renewed by Sherry. And then 2023, you don't see it renewed again. Why? Because she, in first quarter of 2022, she started working at Hyllion. This is the Medium blog that I was referring to earlier. And in it, she has 2 blog posts. One of which I had to, when I was taking notes and highlighting things, I had to highlight in a different color. And it was the later of the 2, the forest and the trees in decision making. And in it, she writes, and this is from December 19th of 2020, other details are critical for communication and to build credibility. This can mean if you're trying to decide what the manufacturing network needs to look like for widget X, you need to visit the plant and see what it takes to manufacture the product. You need to walk through the plant and get a deep dive on the process and critical elements of how that widget is made well and what the pitfalls can be. If it means you're working on an electrification program, you need to understand how the power is generated and transferred such that you could describe it in your own words. These type of details will help you have a deeper conversations with experts and will help ground your work in the reality of the business. So fast forward to 2023, and what do we see? Thomas Healy is visiting a plant in Ohio. And just to quote some of the things he said in this What the Truck video that he was in, I was actually out there with the team. We created the new piston pieces. The cool thing is they designed something and press print on these machines. And a couple days later, you now have your parts and you get to put them in your gen set and test them out. So why is he visiting the plant and saying that in 2023? And we have to go back to what she wrote almost 2.5 years ago. Other details are critical for communication and to build credibility. If you're trying to decide what the manufacturing network needs to look like for widget X, you need to visit the plant. He's there in Ohio visiting the plant and see what it takes to manufacture the product. To manufacture the product, they design something and press print on these machines, and a couple of days later, you now have your parts and get to put them in your gen set and test them out. He's doing that. He's doing what the chief strategy officer wrote 2.5 years ago. And why? For communication and to build credibility. In the next video, we'll take a deeper dive in what else she wrote on these 2 posts and what other important information we can gather from it. That's it for this video, and of course, thanks for watching.